Is this happening to you? Then you're in the right place for video game training. In this video, I'm going to show you how to defeat Mohg, Lord of Blood. If you want to be an absolute legend and support the channel, then make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. My name is Azzavhar or Azza. Now let's get into the video. I'll just show you where this boss fight is located. So it's underground, and the closest site of grace is this Dynasty Mausoleum Midpoint, and the boss is located just here. I'll show you the setup that we're working with for this fight. So we have 2 keen scimitars plus 17. We have a serpent's bow. Along with that bow, we'll also be using serpent arrows, which cause poison buildup, and we might also use some scarlet rot arrows. We'll be using the finger sacred seal, and along with that sacred seal, we'll be using this incantation called rotten breath. There is a very small chance that we'll use a shield, so I'll just show you the shield that we're using. For the talismans, we've got an arsenal charm, which raises our maximum equipment load. We've got the winged sword insignia, which raises our attack power as long as we keep on attacking, and we've also got the green turtle talisman, which raises our stamina recovery speed. If you want to see how to get a lot of this equipment, including the serpent bow and the rotten breath, I'd recommend watching the start of my Radahn boss guide video, as I show you where to pick up quite a lot of stuff at the start of that video. We're also rocking the Crucible Knight armor set. I do have a video on how to get that as well if you're interested. And an insanely important part of this setup is the Flask of Wondrous Physic, specifically the crystals that we mix into this flask. The most important one is the Purifying Crystal tier, which nullifies the curse that happens halfway through this boss fight. I've made a video on how to get the Purifying Crystal tier. I'll link that in the YouTube pop-up cards. We're using the Speckled Hard tier, which raises all resistances, which are things like poison, scarlet rot, blood loss, and frostbite. Specifically for this fight, we want to protect against blood loss, and that's why we use this Speckled Hard tier. If you wanted to get the Speckled Hard tier, you would have to go to this minor Erd tree in the Altus Plateau and defeat the worm face boss. Another insanely important item is Mohg's shackle. You can use this 2 times in phase 1 of the battle, and when you use this shackle, it will make Mohg fall down to the floor for a good few seconds, and we'll be using this to our advantage in this fight. I have made a video on how to get Mohg's shackle, so I'll link that in the YouTube pop-up cards as well. You could also use some invigorating cured meat, which boosts robustness, which protects against blood loss. And even though Mohg is the Lord of Blood, he's actually quite weak to blood loss. So we're going to be popping some blood grease onto our weapon and inflicting blood loss on him. And generally is also quite weak to physical attacks. We might also throw some poison pots and some poison darts depending on the situation. If you've got some, you could bring in some of the boluses that alleviate blood loss. And we'll be using the Ancestral Follower Spirit Ash, which is probably not the best ash to be totally honest, but it's the best ash that I've got. So it's the one that I'm going to be using. We also will pop one of these Starlight Shards, which allows us to gradually recover our FP, and we'll also pop an Exalted Flesh, which boosts our physical attack. You could also choose to use a Flame Drake Talisman or a Flame Drake Talisman +1 to negate the fire damage, because in phase 2 there'll be a lot of fire all over the floor, and this will help you negate a lot of that damage. I would recommend having the Serpent's Bow and Mohg's shackle at the ready, as we'll be using that very early on. With all that being said, let's jump into the fight. First of all, lock on and then run backwards and left. Use your Spirit Ashes about there. Go to your inventory, use the Starlight Shards, and then you kind of want to head in this motion, like backwards and right, while shooting these poison arrows or serpent arrows. You might do like a little sidestep thing, so just be careful of that. Just need to keep popping these essentially until poison is applied, which should be quite soon. And then we need to switch to the Sacred Seal. So roughly around now. So I'm going to switch to the Sacred Seal and use Rotten Breath. I might tank a hit here, that's fine. There we go. So we're going to use the Shackle for the first time, switch to the Blue Flask, and use Rotten Breath a second time. Ideally, if we can do, I'll use Rotten Breath 3 times, if possible. With a lot of his attacks, you have to delay your roll quite a lot. I'm going to go back to the Blue Flask, then use Rotten Breath a 3rd time. Then we're going to switch to Exalted Flesh and Swords. So pop the Flesh, Blood Grease. Might tank a hit there to apply it, that's fine, if that's the case. Then we're going to heal up. Get the Shackle at the ready. Shackle about now. get up close and personal and do as much damage as humanly possible at this point. Just keep on going. Get the flask at the ready. He's about to phase change, so you want to flask about there. Keep on attacking, doing as much damage as you possibly can do. Usually jumps up into the air quite soon, and sort of like roll forward to avoid that. You can also use that chance to heal up. You could switch to your bow at this point, your serpent bow, and you could try and reapply Scarlet Rot or poison to him. You get some distance like so, and keep on popping some of these arrows. I think he's still got a little bit of Scarlet Rot at the minute, but probably not poison, so I'm gonna shoot some of the poison arrows and try and reapply poison to him. Which I think has reapplied. Oh, not quite yet, but it's still doing some decent damage. I'm kind of using the arena to kind of like go up to the top section there and then back down to the bottom section. I'm using the length of the arena to get this tactic done. Technically speaking, you can fight him up close and personal as well if you want to do that. The choice is yours, but the poison is reapplied. Obviously the actual shots from the arrows still do damage as well, which is really good. The poison is ticking his health down. So once again, just using the arena to kind of like lure him from one side to the other. That's kind of like rolling and running in the opposite direction, trying to pop a shot in here and there. And there we go. That's the fight. I just wanted to show you a couple of extra bits and bobs. For example, you can poison him using poison bone darts or poison pots. If that's a better option for you, then feel free to go for it. Just keep on throwing these. You might need to back up and kind of like roll backwards here and there if he gets a little bit too close. But eventually you should poison him like so. Next, I'll go over some of his physical attacks and his blood attacks. With his physical attacks, the ones with the trident, technically speaking, you can block them, although I would recommend rolling them as opposed to blocking them because they do insane levels of stamina damage. And you want to delay your roll very, very slightly for these trident attacks, for most of the trident attacks. That particular blood attack there is kind of like a downwards swipe, and for that one you want to roll either left or right. This one has got a very long delay, so he does like one swing and then the second one is delayed a lot more, and he usually follows it up with a quicker third strike as well. If he does this one where he kind of like rains down blood, just make sure to stand out the way of the raining blood and you should be fine. What you'll find is that his moveset is quite similar in phase 1 and in phase 2, so the timing of his attacks will be the same. So if you can practice and learn the stuff in phase 1, you should find it a little bit easier in phase 2 to avoid his attacks. With these circles that are around our character, he'll do 3 of them. That's the second one just put onto our character now. What you want to do is to make sure to use your shackle 2 times before the third circle is put around our character. As soon as the third circle is on, like so, you can't use your shackle anymore. And straight after the third circle, he goes straight into his phase change. You can use these boluses to take away the blood build-up like so. His moveset in phase 2 will be quite similar to phase 1. You just got to be aware of all of the blood and fire that's coming off the end of his trident, so watch out for that. On top of that, he's also now got wings, so you got to be aware of the extra aerial attacks. Technically speaking, in phase 2, what you could do is switch out your talismans. For example, you could take off the turtle talisman and pop something on that increases bow and arrow damage. So if you wanted to stick to more of a ranged strategy, you could kind of like switch out your talismans real quick. But yeah, other than that, that is the fight, and hopefully that extra information helps.